Welcome, everyone, to the Krypton to Alderaan podcast. I am Royish Goodlooks, your Star Wars song guy, and with me today is just me. I am flying solo. Joey is under the weather, so let's wish him well down in the comments. I'm feeling a little bit under the weather myself. 'Tis the season, but the show must go on. And this is the podcast where we talk about all things nerdy pop culture, but it's mostly Star Wars. And today, we're talking about Skeleton Crew, Episode 5. You have a lot to learn about pirates. Before we get into the review, hit the subscribe button. We recently hit 4 subscribers, which is pretty cool. And you can help us get to our next milestone, which is 5. And we'd also love if you left some comments about the podcast and about Star Wars. We'd really appreciate it. And with that said, let's punch it. Yeah! Good news, everyone. The runtime this week was spot on the average. It was 45 minutes, which I can't really complain about. Now, no one ever comments on these graphs, but come on, look at it. It defies all logic. And based on my extensive research, the episode should continue to get longer and longer towards the finale. And if so, I am really excited for what that might mean story-wise, because we could be getting some really jam-packed episodes coming up, especially now that we are at the turning point of the kids versus Jod, and maybe the parents finally being able to reach out to the kids. Also, did anyone else think the previously on was super long this week? I think it was about 1 minute and 30 seconds. I was wondering if maybe they made the recap more dense this particular week so that it was easier for any casual fans to just jump in to the series if they hadn't been watching. If you were forced to watch with your family over the holiday vacation sort of thing. There were 2 things that specifically surprised me about this episode. Number 1, I'm surprised how underdeveloped the parents' plotline still remains. We didn't see them at all last week, I think. The week before, we saw them for one scene at the very beginning of the episode. And then same thing this week. We saw them for one scene at the beginning. Obviously, the show is about the kids, but they're trickling in the parents every now and then, and it's always so brief. And they keep teasing the supervisor, but I'm not really sure if I care. I just want to be running around with the kids. So I guess it's a good thing that they're writing the show this way, but there's something weird about trickling them in at the beginning of the episode and then walking away from them and never having it be this true A and B plot thing. We got to see a little bit of Wim's father kind of freaking out and, we got to get the message through and we have to sneak around because the robots are watching us. There's some interesting stuff there, but we just never spend a lot of time with the parents. And maybe we'll be surprised of how they tie it in with the kids over the next couple episodes, that these plots are going to have to converge at some point. But I can't help feeling like Fern, when they learn that the ship is the Onyx Cinder and the captain is this famous captain, and Jod's getting all excited about it. But Fern's reaction is just, yeah, who cares? So my question for you is, do you want to see more of this parents' story? Do you think we're not spending enough time with them already? How do you think it's going to tie in with what the kids are doing on the adventure? So tell me what you think about that down in the comments. And then the second thing that surprised me, I know it wasn't a big reveal, but Jod's betrayal of the kids really did surprise me. He's had a lot of these little moments where you know that he is selfish and in it for himself, but he still looks fondly at the kids. Last episode, he's hugging everybody. He's saying, yeah, I need them. And it was a moving scene when Wim says, I'm not going to see my parents again. And Jod's like, yeah, you'll see him again. Don't worry about it. And he says, no, not my mom. And, we don't have the backstory on that. But clearly, Jod is like, oh, okay, there's something deeper here. And I have to be a little bit more sensitive. And he sits down to have a heart-to-heart with Wim. He ends up giving him a lot more tough love than Wim was probably expecting. The whole forget your fears, your anxiety, your family, your attachments. It almost sounds like something you'd hear from the Jedi, but the way that he delivers it as this kind of Lone Star pirate, You could hear the sort of selfish framing that he's really giving to Wim. But at the same time, he's still sort of inspiring him, telling him that you have vision, embrace it, make your life the one that you want to live. And that intrigues Wim because he sees Jod and he knows he's not a Jedi, but he's got the Force. He can do these kind of amazing things that Wim obviously idolizes. And that gray line draws me in so much with Jod. Like, he obviously has the Force. I guess he's not a Jedi, but he doesn't know about them. And he doesn't really seem like a Sith. He seems to have genuine feelings for the children, for someone who literally was like, get rid of your attachments, to say, no, I need those kids. But I guess maybe he just selfishly needed them because he's looking for the coordinates to the treasure. But he's charming enough, though, to sell it, I didn't think he really was evil. But fast forward to the end of the episode, and he's threatening to hurt Fern to become the captain. Whether or not he's a Jedi or not, Jod turns to the dark side in that moment. The kids are excited to find home, but Jod is excited at the prospect of the treasure. And there's a moment there where they could all just get along, but Jod sells them out instead of doing the right thing, and does it in a really kind of horrifying way. The whole time I was wondering, like, is he actually going to hurt Fern? Like, is there going to be blood drawn from this? What is going to happen here? So I know that the betrayal, like, he's a pirate, and the episode's entitled, You Have a Lot to Learn About Pirates. It's not really a surprise that they've written his character that way. He's motivated by money. I ain't in it for your revolution. I expect to be well paid. But that turn, to me, as a viewer, like, that still hurts. Even though we knew we shouldn't be trusting him, even though the kids knew they shouldn't be trusting him, everyone has been telling us that throughout the show, but we all want to trust him. We believe in him. We want to see him do the right thing. So it hurts as a viewer when you're like, wow, they really went there. And that is brilliant writing. I love when Star Wars takes a risk. And in this moment, they obviously didn't hurt Fern. That probably would have been a step too far. But it made me think for a moment, like, well, maybe Jod would if he's throwing him in right now. He's having these side conversations with SM-33, not even really considering the kids. And you start to wonder, like, well, what is he really capable of? The kids don't know why the pirates are after him. We don't know Jod's backstory. I enjoyed all of the lessons of kindness from Neil last week, and Jod undid all of that in this episode. I didn't want that for the kids, but it's going to work so well for the next 3 episodes that now we have this major conflict to resolve. But I wanted to ask another question to all of you. How are we feeling about Jod's betrayal? I wouldn't have called myself a Jod stan, but I wanted to see him continue to do the right thing, even if he was reluctant about it or it was partially self-motivated. But holding a knife to a child's throat is inexcusable. So I'm interested to see what you all think. And, do the kids leave Jod behind? Do they help turn him in somehow? Or can they possibly forgive him? Like Neil says, can't you just say you're sorry? Especially for Wim. I've been talking about how I want to see Jod force training with him, but now I kind of would like to see Wim serve it to Jod, to have him say something like, that's not the Jedi way. I know you're not a Jedi. A Jedi would never do this. And you're right, this isn't one of my stories. It's a real adventure, and you're the bad guy. And it'd be interesting to see Jod react to that and have to look all the kids in the eye and realize that, hey, maybe there are things in the galaxy more important than treasure. I thought this series was going to be about the kids, growing their confidence in their strength. But now I'm starting to think like maybe we get a Jod redemption story by the end. I don't know. Leave your comments because I want to hear from you all as well. So to round this all out, I think it's sad that the kids are betrayed, but I do like how they're handling it in the show so far. Like Wim, he's not a Jedi. He can't even ignite the lightsaber properly, but he's brave for trying to save Fern, for trying to defend the crew. And in the end, he does find a solution with the trap door. And I love that. I love that the kids are always finding a unique way through the problem. And it's not subtle, but they keep reusing this line. We're not elders. We're kids. We're not pirates. We're kids. The kids don't have to be what anyone else tells them to be. It's the classic scene from the Obi-Wan Kenobi series. He just needs to be a boy. The kids are smart enough and strong enough as they are on their own already. And especially when they work together as a team, they all seem to complete each other. Neil stole the show last week, but I like that we had Wim with some courageous moments here, because I was wondering if he actually had the guts in him. And maybe he didn't pull it off as heroically as he would have liked, but he pulled it off in the manner that works for his character. Oh yeah, there's the trapdoor switch here. And even KB, when they're out on the catwalk, she analyzes the piping and she's got the wrench and they say, oh, you don't know what to do. What are you going to do with that? But she knew how to set off the mud bath so they could escape. And that's another thing the show does really well, is highlighting each of the kids' strengths. It feels like the last few episodes, they've all been tested sort of individually. And now that Jod has betrayed them, going forward, they're going to have to work together even more so to get the jump on Jod. Somehow they have to get the coordinates to At-Aden. They've got to get to a ship. They've got to make it home. Maybe they end up even teaming up with the other pirates. Like Jod gets back to the Onyx Cinder and they have to go on a completely different ship and try to get home and warn everyone that Jod is coming and pirates are coming. I'm excited. I still don't care about the treasure. What is Jod going to do with it anyways? Doesn't Neil say like, oh, you could print infinite money? Like, is he going to print infinite credits? That just seems silly. I don't have any deep theories on the treasure aspect. I just want to see the kids show the adults who's really boss. It would be really cute if we could end this series with Wim telling the story to his father, just like they were telling the story to the creature that helps them find the lair in this episode. That would be a fun little bow to tie on this, that Wim's adventure becomes a story to inspire others. But mostly what I want to see is that runtime ticking up and up. All right, listeners, let's keep this conversation going. We would love to hear from you. Leave your comments down below and make sure to subscribe for more nerdy pop culture, but mostly Star Wars. Thanks for listening to the show today. I've been Royce, and we've been Krypton to Not Canto Bite.